January the 2nd, we have 6 games. We have Jimmy Butler making headlines again. Has he requested a trade? Not formally, but everything but, I think. This is the Thursday post-game show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. We are part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. 6 games to talk about. Nothing major, I don't think, tonight. There's always stuff. Jimmy Butler is obviously the biggest talking point, I suppose. Worthy of a Shams bomb or whatever we're calling them now. We'll talk about him when we get to the Miami game. Let's start with game number 1. Boston at Minnesota, another close game. These two teams have a history of playing tight games. 118, 115. Boston get the win here. No Jaylen Brown. He was out. They seem to just be alternating, resting guys every now and then. Porzingis was also out. So Horford started. He was better, 9, 5, and 4 with 2 blocks. That's a 12-team line. You hold him if you want. When Porzingis is back, you drop him. Sam Hauser did start, and if you streamed him in for 3s, he got 5 of them, so perfect. Drew Holiday, 11 and 8 with 2 steals. That's actually not bad for Drew in what has been a pretty disappointing season. Derek White, very good again, continues to push his claim for an all-star berth. 26 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and Jason Tatum, very good as per usual. Peyton Pritchard, a little bit up and down lately. Still a clear must-roster player, but only 9 points with 4 assists in this one. That is the issue with a guy that is a 6th man. The minutes will fluctuate a little bit because when he is not hitting his shots or being as impactful, they can lean into other guys, as they did here with Sam Hauser, who had 27 minutes. For the Timberwolves, I'll start with Rudy Gobert because I don't know what's going on here. He's just not being used. He's very disappointing. I wonder what his rank is. Let me have a look. Rudy Gobert. I have him in a couple of teams, and I mean, I'm not viewing him as someone we need to drop or anything like that, but it has been rough. I feel like the last few games. Where are we? Okay. So he had 6 and 7 tonight with 0 blocks. The game before that, he had 8 and 7 with 2 blocks. Before that was good, 17 and 15 with 2 blocks, 7 and 9 with 2 blocks, 14 and 10 with 2 blocks, 2 and 6 with 1 block. It had been good, bad. Well, even the good is not great, but good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. And then he's had a couple of bad ones. Over the last 2 weeks, he's outside the top 140, not even averaging a double-double with 1.4 blocks. So he's one of the more disappointing players this season. I'm not dropping him. I hope they figure it out, but I don't know. The loss of Towns has really impacted this team. I don't think that they thought it would. Anyway, moving on. Mike Conley, speaking of disappointing, 5 points, 3 assists in 19 minutes. We can just go ahead and drop him. I think in standard leagues, 16 teamers, I'd probably be holding 14, maybe. Jaden McDaniels, I talked about him as a possible stream tonight. He had 19 and 8. So one of his random offensive games. Julius Randle, 27 points, 8 and 7. The stats are always good for Randle. He's not pretty to watch, but he gets it done on the stat sheet. And Anthony Edwards, pretty disappointing, to be honest. 15 points, 5 of 16. Anyone watching knows I'm not as high on him as others. I might be at some point, but at this stage, I'm not. He then came out and complained about getting double teamed. Like, what the hell, dude? That's a cop out if ever I've heard it. You're a star player. You want to be a star player. You're going to get double teamed. That's part of playing in the NBA. So I don't know why he would come out and say that it's annoying him and it's disrupting his game. You find a way. If you are that guy, you find a way. Obviously, he hasn't to this point. Dante DiVincenzo had 12, 3, and 3. The minutes are still up there, so I think we're rostering him over Mike Conley pretty clearly at the moment. And Naz Reid, he closed over Rudy Gobert. This was a bit of a matchup thing as well. Boston weren't really running with a center as such. Al Horford, he is a center, but not a typical sort of big body shot blocker. So they didn't have to go with Rudy Gobert down the stretch here. They went with Naz Reid, who had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. All right, the Miami game. Indiana at Miami. Okay. Indiana, let's start with Indiana. A good win, a very, very comfortable win over a disappointing Miami team. It was 128, 115. It was not this close. Paces were up very easily at one point. Halliburton, very good, 33-15 with 2 steals, 6 threes. Only 1 of 3 from the line, really the only negative here. He has been trending back up. Not every game, but he's looking better. Miles Turner also had a better game here, 21 points. Only 5 rebounds. We're used to that for Miles Turner, but had 2 blocks and a steal. Benedict Mathurin cooled off a little bit. Remains a hold. Siakam, I wish he'd hit his free throws, 1 of 4. He did have 18 and 11. But it probably is a little bit of a buy low for him. The defensive stats are not great. He had 0 blocks, 0 steals here, and the free throws have cooled off a bit. Nembhard, I talked about him, a week ago, saying he was probably a must-roster player, but I didn't think he should be. This is why. 6 and 6 and 6 with a steal. He'll play minutes, but when Halliburton's playing well, when Mathurin is taking shots, he's just not going to get the ball in his hands enough to be rostered everywhere. And Obi Toppin back up to 20 minutes. He had 12.6 rebounds. That's not quite there for a 12-team league, but if he pushes to 22 minutes, he can be borderline because he can get you some threes. He's efficient, and he will chip in on the defensive end from time to time. Let's talk about Miami. Let's start with Jimmy Butler. He was bad. Again, 9 points, 4 assists, 2 steals, 6 shots. He's right to be annoyed in terms of how they're utilizing him. They are just putting him in the corner, and he's a better player than that. He is not the player he once was, but better than just a guy who you chuck in the corner. So he is obviously frustrated with this. I tweeted out the press conference that he had, and he basically said he doesn't want to be there. Shams has come out and said that he has requested a trade. I think I saw a comment. Where are we? Yeah, Chad just mentioned there that Shams said he has formally requested a trade. So watch this space, I guess. We'll see what happens. In terms of what the future holds, if you've got him, you just hold him. Don't drop him. Don't do anything with him. Chances are he will go to another team and try. He claims he always tries, but I debate that watching his last 2 games. But wherever he goes, he's gonna want to go somewhere where he's going to have a role. So he does come across as I know he talks the talk about winning and that sort of thing, but he does like being involved a lot. So chances are if he gets traded, his value goes up. But yeah, don't do anything with it at the moment. Highsmith, ignore him. Bam had 20 and 8, was fine. Tyler Hero, fine, 17, 3 and 3. So pretty average when compared to what he's been doing this season. Duncan Robinson had 6 points. He is 3-point streamer. I did talk about potentially adding Rozier in or picking him up tonight against a team that doesn't really play defense. He had 16 and 7 with 5 rebounds, so a good night if you streamed him in. And then the other guys, not interested. Let's talk about Kel'el Ware, though. I've talked about him ad nauseum, I feel like, that I really like what he can do. He had a strong summer league, he had a strong preseason, and then he just didn't play. He is playing now. The minutes were up here. This was a blowout, as I said, so don't look at this line and think that this is it. It's good to go where he's going to be a 20-minute-a-night player, because he's not. But he had 25 points. He had 0 rebounds somehow, but he had 3 blocks and a steal with 3 threes. I just think he brings a really nice element to this Heat offense because he can spread the floor. Bam can't. I would like to see them play Kel'el Ware and Bam Adebayo together. I think you could do that against bigger teams, maybe like the Bucks or the Jazz, those sorts of teams. You could at least give it a look. Hayward Highsmith is doing nothing. Why not start with Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson? Well, Jimmy, if he's there, with Kel'el Ware and Bam. I don't know. I don't think they will, but would be nice. On to the next game. Clippers go into OKC and lose. 116-98. No James Harden. Obviously no Kawhi. This was always going to be a tough one for the Clippers to win. Norm Powell, he's easily his worst game of the season. 6 points on 1 of 11 shooting. Doesn't really get much worse than this. Just try to ignore it. It's going to be tough, but ignore it. You can actually pretty much ignore this whole box score because Amir Coffey played 35 minutes and had 26 points. Chances are that is his best game of the year. We aren't picking him up unless we get word that James Harden is going to miss more time. And now he has got a groin issue, so it's something to monitor. There's no indication that this is serious, more of just a rest game. But, keep an eye on that injury report. Moving forward, Zubats did his thing. We're not too interested in Derek Jones or Kevin. Kevin Porter's been better off the bench. There's a guy coming up in a game later who sort of fits the same mold as Kevin Porter, but I would prefer him over Kevin Porter. For the Thunder, they didn't have to extend themselves too much. The starters were basically under 30 minutes here, all of them. Jalen Williams hit some shots. That was nice. He had 18, 3 and 4 with 2 steals and a block, so back on track for him. Lou Dort, 9 points, 2 steals. Very borderline. Don't need to hold him. Isaiah Hartenstein, 11 and 9, 6 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal. This is what he does. Double-double with out-of-position assists and some defensive stats. So very nice. Shea was good. Wiggins started in this one. They continue to just roll through Case and Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins. None of those guys are players we need to be holding. All right, the Nets get it wasn't a big win in the end, 113-110. The Bucks went on a 20-0 run, 20-0 run. Anyway, they scored 20 points. Brooklyn scored none. They came back in this one. There were some reasons for that. D'Angelo Russell had to go off with cramps. Cam Johnson tweaked his ankle. So there were a few little bits and pieces that contributed to this. But let's look at the box score. There's a little bit to take away from here. Cam Johnson, very good again. Lots of trade rumors flying around about him at the moment. So don't do anything with him. If you want to try and sell high, you can. If you could get a top 40 player back for him, I would probably do that. It does feel like if he stays in Brooklyn, an injury will pop up at some point because they don't want to win games. Jalen Wilson had 13 points with 2 steals in 37 minutes. The minutes are intriguing here, but of course Clowney was out, Ben Simmons was out, so I wouldn't be rushing to add him. Claxton looked okay in this one, 16 and 11 with a steal and a block, so maybe he's starting to turn things around. Keon Johnson, chatted about him on the pregame show, said I was holding him for today just to see what the minutes were like. He had 28. which is okay. 9 and 9 with a block. I do think that when Ben Simmons and Clowney come back, Keon Johnson is probably a drop at the moment. If you want to hold him until we see otherwise, by all means, go ahead. D'Angelo Russell started as we thought he would. I would assume he just sticks in this role now. But we'll see, because Cam Thomas will come back in as well, as will Noah Clowney maybe. I don't know. There's a number of ways they could go here. Russell was good, apart from the shooting. 3 of 11 for 11 points, but he had 12 assists. He had 2 steals. He hits... he's not an elite shooter, but if he hits even another 2 or 3 shots here, a couple of those are threes, he ends up with 17 and 12 with 2 steals, and we're taking that to the bank. So he will be absolutely fine. Cam Thomas just came out and did his thing, 24 points in 22 minutes. They will ramp him up slowly, but he has been really good since returning. Day'Ron Sharpe, 6 and 6 in 20 minutes. He did have a bit of foul trouble in this one, which limited him, and then they just stuck with Claxton at the end. Zaire Williams returned as well, so another, as I said on the pregame, another name to throw into that bucket. He had 8 and 6 with an assist and a block. He was playing well before his injury, so I would monitor. He is one player I could see going up, like his minutes could go up a little bit. On to Milwaukee. Bad loss for them. They were full strength. Everyone available. Lillard just couldn't really hit a shot. He still had 23 and 7. Giannis played well. This is what I've said about Middleton. I just don't think when they're healthy that I think he's topped out this season. He will still be viable, but I'm not sure he gets better than what we've seen. He will probably be better than this, to be fair. 12 points with 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Brook Lopez, he pooed again. 7-3 with a block. He's very up and down. Still a hold, but he's obviously just getting older as well. And Bobby Portis had 15 and 8 with a block. Maybe a bit of a sell high. If you can move him for a top 100 player, I would do that. Philly and Golden State. This was ugly. Philly looked asleep. They looked tired. Paul George just looks banged up. Tyrese Maxey looks just stuffed, exhausted. He still had a decent line apart from the shooting. 4 of 13 from the field for 14 points, but he had 6 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. So you take that. It feels like he just needs a 3 or 4 nights off here to hit reset. He's been doing a lot for them, obviously, with all the injuries. Kyle Lowry started again. I don't know what they're doing there. Embiid, a good line, and he will put up a good line most nights. 28 points, 14 rebounds. But a lot. I watch him pretty close when I watch them play. I keep an eye on him. And he was against Trace Jackson-Davis here, so a clear size advantage, and that's how he got a lot of his baskets, was just underneath outsizing the Warriors. But if you watch him, he still looks very limited, especially with his speed up and down the court. Trace Jackson-Davis beat him up and down the court, and they just, as a team, the Warriors, beat him up and down the court. A lot of instances he's playing away from the basket a bit more. If you watch them on offense, he doesn't like to get into the paint if he doesn't think he has to, because that is going to prevent him from getting back and playing defense. He likes to hang around the free throw line and above. He's shooting a few more threes than we've seen. He only attempted 3 here, but he's looking at them. Teams are sort of giving him that look. So there's still concerns here. He's just that good that he's going to put up numbers. But every time he takes a fall or does anything, he looks in pain. I can't imagine the pain he's actually in. He has to be sore every game. And if we're a fly on the wall in that Sixers dressing room, it would be very interesting to see what they do with him after every game. What are they doing with his knee? In between games, I figure he's basically doing nothing. They're having to play him. The rotation is weird as well. So he played here, and I think he's done this in other games. He plays the first 12 minutes, so he doesn't come out in the first quarter. And to me, that screams the coaching, the medical staff are worried that anytime he's out of the game, it's going to take him time to get that knee going again. So rather than give him a break or an extended break there, they play him right through and then give him the break. Because if you were to take him off in the sort of midway through the first quarter, which would make sense in terms of managing his injuries, then you tried to bring him back maybe at the end, and I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Now, of course, I'm no doctor or coach, but I am worried, and I'm certainly not convinced that he's going to stay healthy. Yabusele played quite well, 13, 6 and 2. There was no Andre Drummond. He was out with a toe injury. Of course, Eric Gordon did nothing after hitting a few threes the night before. We're not looking at any of those players, except for when Embiid is out. We look at Yabusele and Drummond. For Golden State, Jackson Davis, not a great matchup for him. 3 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 21 minutes. I'm not dropping him. This was just what happened. They blew it out as well. So don't be concerned with this performance. Curry was very good in this one. 30 points, 8 from 8 from the three-point line. Schroeder, his best game as a Warrior, 15 and 6 with 2 steals. He hit 3 threes. Good line. This looks good. He hit those 3 threes in about the first 8 minutes of the game. So if you look at that in the following 17 minutes, he had 6 points and he was 3 of 3. So on 2 of 6. So it looks better. I still don't think he's a hold. Kuminga is, Buddy Hield is absolutely not God. And Moses Moody, I don't mind Moody long term, but the role is just not there for him at the moment. And the last game of the night, Portland at LA. The Lakers get the win here without Anthony Davis. Let's start with Portland, though, because there's a little bit to talk about here. Look, Kamara was good in this one. 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists and a block. He's still doing enough, as is Denny Avdia. DeAndre Ayton started, played 21 minutes, and looked like the DeAndre Ayton that we see when the team is losing. He plays well when they're winning, and when they're losing, he's just uninterested. He had 6 and 6. He's still a hold, but yeah, I have my concerns with him. Sharp and Simons were both good in this one. Scoot Henderson, let's talk about him. I've just written an article, a waiver wire article, which I think will come out on RotoWire tomorrow, and Scoot is one of my pickups. I just think he's trending in the right direction. 12 and 8 with a steal and a block. He hit a 3, 32 minutes. Now, this was a bit of a matchup thing or a matchup situation because the Lakers didn't have Anthony Davis. They went without a center. Which is another reason DeAndre Ayton was limited, but it meant that Portland matched up with them and went small, so they actually played Scoot alongside Shaedon Sharp and Anthony Simons, which I think they should do more anyway, but that's why the minutes were up slightly here. But yeah, another encouraging performance. So if he's available and you need assists and steals with some points, I'd give him a look. Also, interestingly here, they did not play Rob Williams. They played one backup center, Donovan Clingan. He didn't do anything. He had 4 and 3 with a block, but he had 17 minutes. I don't know if this is a situation where they're going to alternate centers like Charlotte did a couple of years ago, and we get, I think Ayton will remain starting, but we may get Clingan for a game and then Williams for a game. That could happen, which is, in terms of game-to-game value, it's a good thing. But for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, it's hard because it means you're getting zeros one game and then potentially a 12-team line. So I still wouldn't be adding Clingan unless we see a pattern here of Clingan starting playing as the backup and Williams not playing at all. Then we might make the move. For the Lakers, like I said, no Anthony Davis. Possibly precautionary. It is the first night of a back-to-back, I believe. Let me just double-check that. It is. The Lakers play the Hawks tomorrow night. So first game of back-to-back, AD has consistently been questionable with various injuries. So I'm hoping just precautionary. But without him, they went with Jackson Hayes, they went with Christian Coloco, but like I said, they also went small and just sort of played without a centre. A nice opportunity here for Hachimura to step up, and he did not, which is not completely surprising, I suppose. Let me move that up. And yes, so no, we're not rostering Rui Hachimura anywhere. Austin Reeves, he did cool down a bit, but he still had 11 assists. So these assist numbers have been very intriguing. They are actively trying to get the ball in his hands a bit more, which I like. LeBron had 38 and 8. Of course, he has to do more when Anthony Davis is not there. He probably doesn't want to do this much, but he can still, which is amazing. But let's talk about Max Christie. You know that I'm pretty high on him. I like his game. I'm glad that they moved him into the starting lineup. He had 2 steals. That's good. He's a steals guy. He also had a career high 28 points, which we didn't see coming. His previous career high was 17, I believe. So he was just hot in this one. No Anthony Davis, so someone had to score. It's not Rui Hachimura. Austin Reeves wasn't shooting the ball that well, so Max Christie stepped up. He's a borderline 12-teamer. I wouldn't be overreacting to this performance and just dropping anyone to grab him. But it does look like his role is pretty secure. Finney Smith came off the bench here, didn't do anything. Shake Milton played 16 minutes, didn't do anything. So although Finney Smith helps them from a real-life perspective, I still think Max Christie is the guy they want to have on the floor there most nights and should play 28-plus minutes. Unless he's playing particularly bad and someone off the bench is hot, his role should be fairly secure. All right, let's get into some quick questions before I go and start the barbecue for dinner. Cricket, we'll start with the cricket. Yes, I don't know what the score is now. I know India were 6 for 130 or something. Let me check I can't really watch it. 8 for 148, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, there was, for anyone that was watching, there was a pretty clear wicket that was not given, which I didn't tweet anything about it. I was tempted, but I didn't. All right, with all the Jimmy stuff happening, is Khalil Ware becoming next replacement? I don't think so. Like I said, I doubt they want to play him alongside Bam. I think they should, but I don't think they will. I still like him long-term, that sort of thing, but I don't think that Jimmy not being there would help him. This was just a blowout, favourable situation. It was good to see the Nets beat the most boring team in the league, the Bucks. The Heat are up there. So are the Nuggets. There's a few boring teams. They did stop. Yeah, Sharp got that 4th foul, and then, it sort of went off the rails. They still won, but Sharp, I still like him, but, we're not there yet. Then we've got, talents about the talents. We've got discussion around the Butler trade. Yes, Butler. Yep, easy solution. Anthony Edwards, pass the ball. And he even said in that thing that he's built to score. Well, okay, sure. But basketball is not just about scoring. It's about utilising your teammates. And you have a pretty good team around you, in theory. Is the D'Lo injury bad? No, I don't think so. They have said cramps. That's all we can go on at this point. And this is what we're going to get, I think, from D'Lo moving forward. So he should be fine. Who is realistically going to want Jimmy? Well, that's a good question. You look at the teams he's been on: Philly, Chicago, obviously, Minnesota. None of those relationships have ended well. And there's one constant there, and it's Jimmy Butler. It's different teams, it's different coaches, but I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a overly likable guy. I could be wrong, and obviously that's just me again, with an opinion, much like I have on other players that people make me aware of. Don't stream players against OKC. That's a fair call. Okay, I watched that game today. The Clippers in the first half, I think the Clippers were up by 4 at halftime. The Thunder were disgusting in the first half. Their offense was so bad. The Clippers weren't terrible. They played okay, but they were only up by 4, and it was a perfect example of defense keeping you in games and then eventually winning you the game, because the Thunder did not deserve to be that close at halftime. So, yes, good point. Don't have a look at the opposition, which we always do. Would I rather have Tobias or a Men? It might be Tobias just slightly, because his role is secure. A Men is not. A Men has far higher upside, I think, this season. But, just with Ivy going down, common sense would say that Tobias should play more, or should do more, not play more. D'Lo was carried off by net staff. Yeah, that's not... If these cramps were bad enough, you can't walk on a severe cramp, because every step you take, it just reignites the cramp. So not surprising he was being carried off. We will keep an eye on this, and hopefully it was just cramps. But yeah, if anything comes out, we'll obviously discuss that. Who knew AJ Green was the piece that made the Bucks tick? Yeah, look, he does play a good role for them. And I think, where are we? Where's Milwaukee? I think Andre Jackson got ejected. And I know I talk about him all the time as a guy, why they starting him, but he is impactful. He's a good defender. He only played 14 minutes, or 13 and a half, and they had no AJ Green. So little pieces can make a difference, and maybe this is an example. I think the Bucks just played bad as well, but yes, I did see what Sean Marks said about D'Lo, a great opportunity. Yeah, I do think he plays rest of season. Beyond, I'm not sure, but yeah, he likes it there, I'm sure. The Nets, I think Cam Thomas talked about it after the game, having D'Lo there is good. It means they've got a good, reliable, proven point guard who can set players up, and that's what he's doing. So that's only going to help them. What else have we got? Zubats. I don't think he played. Yeah, Zubats wasn't super great. Schroeder and Wiggins are available on the wire. Who is the better stream? Do you mean Andrew Wiggins? Just let me know. If it's Andrew Wiggins, it's Andrew Wiggins. If it's Aaron Wiggins, it's Schroeder. Picked up Jalen Johnson in the 6th round. Yeah, I hope he gets picked as an all-star. Jalen Johnson. It would be a travesty if he doesn't get picked, I think. Eason or Christie in a 14-teamer? Ooh. That's a tough one. I think I'd go Christie at this point. Eason is doubtful for tomorrow. He has been questionable. Now he's doubtful. I talked about this with Josh on his show this morning. I think I'm a little bit concerned about the Eason uncertainty, and I think, yeah, it's just a weird situation that they haven't said he's out for a month. They haven't really said what the injury is other than a stress reaction, and that can mean anything. I just think there's so much uncertainty around Eason at the moment, and his ceiling is not that high. Even if he does come back and play, a leg injury of this type would tell me that they don't want to push him to 28 minutes if they can avoid it. So he will probably be closer to 20. And in 20, he's borderline. He's like a defensive specialist, where I think Christie's role is pretty set. We saw tonight he will get his shots, and he himself is a good defender. With regards to the upside of Tobias, if I am near the top of the standings, number 2, do I take Tobias or a Men? What is the riskier play? Well, a Men is the riskier play, but has the higher upside. If you are top 2, and fairly confident that you can stay in that range, then maybe I take the flyer on Amen Thompson. He's suspended at the moment, which obviously doesn't help. But yeah, I do prefer Amen's overall game, and we've seen when he starts this year, he's phenomenal. So not saying that's going to happen, and it doesn't look like they're ever going to move him into that role as long as they're healthy. So there are some roadblocks there for Amen, but I'm just not sure what Tobias's upside is. He will, like I said, I think he'll do more, but he's certainly not the player that he was 3-4 years ago. Miami staff, Jalen Wells or Tim Hardaway for the back-to-back. Need threes and defensive stats. Yeah, I mean, Wells is probably the easy answer here. Hardaway, with Luka out, he's been doing a little bit more, I want to say. Let me bring him up. All right, let's have a look. Okay, Tim Hardaway. Maybe he hasn't. He's had, the last game he had 12 points. Before that, he had 8. Then he had 6, 15, 16. I'd probably go Wells. I think I'd go Wells. Where am I up to? Christie, or Easton, we did that one. Did I miss the video party? Yes, you did not miss the video with Matty G. It just hasn't happened. He was recording something with Skiddy last night, so I think we're going to do it. Well, he suggested Tuesday next week, but I'm going to see if we can do it on the weekend or something. DiVincenzo going to finally be good. It looks like he's better. It looks like he is settling in there. So, yes, he is a rosterable player, I think. Why didn't Ayton play the second half? Part of it is that Chauncey sucks. Part of it is that they were playing the Lakers, as I said, who didn't really run with a center. And part of it could be that Ayton didn't really want to be out there. And so the coach just said, well, I won't put you out there. Cam Johnson left the arena on crutches. Yeah, that's a little bit concerning. Again, not uncommon. Any ankle injury, they often get weight off it straight away. Who gets the boost? I mean, Ben Simmons has got to come back. Noah Clowney hopefully won't miss too many games here. He was questionable, which is a good sign. I mean, Cam Thomas is just going to have to do a lot. It's probably Zaire Williams. It's probably a bit of Jalen Wilson. I don't think there's one player, but maybe Keon Johnson's value holds for a little bit longer. Russell probably gets some more shots. So there's probably just a sprinkling of value for a number of players. Drop a Sar or Scoot to bring Kawhi off IR. Yeah, I guess. Although, I mean, we don't have a date on Kawhi, do we? I don't know. And even when he comes back, it's going to be pretty slow sledding, I think. I would cross that bridge when we come to it, not worry about it too much now. D'Lo top 70 to 60 to 70. Yeah, I think that range is fine. D'Lo sell high. No, I don't think so. Yep. No, I think what he's doing is somewhat sustainable. Yeah, so I think we're fine. All right, that's all the questions. Thanks, everyone. Tomorrow morning, I'm still hoping to start a weekly trade show where we talk about player values and trades that have happened in Yahoo leagues. So I'm just reaching out to a few analysts. I've got Michael Waterloo is keen. I'm going to see if I can get Thunder Dan Palio on and maybe Raphael Johnson. And I'll just cycle through one because it's hard for them to commit weekly, but I think I can get them to commit once every few weeks. So that might start tomorrow, probably next week. It'll be on a Friday Friday afternoon US time, early Saturday morning here in Australia, before I do my pre-game show. But I'll be here tomorrow with a pre-game show, just as per normal. Before we take the family to a indoor trampoline park, which will be, my wife and I will just be shopping and drinking coffee while the kids try not to get injured on the trampolines. But that will do for today's show. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please remember to go and like, subscribe, and stick your thumbs up for us. We really appreciate it. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep post-game show. Until next time, catch up.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.